Hi guys, welcome to the third lesson of our Roblox Studio course. And today we are going to talk about the toolbox and terrain. It's going to be very exciting, so let's go. So first, can everybody just go inside Roblox Studio because it will be for the best if you guys can follow along with me during the lesson and you guys learn quicker that way as well. So first, I'm just gonna talk about the toolbox. Basically, a toolbox is like a place where you can get things made by other players. And that includes maybe like a car or a building or like a flashlight, as you can see in this picture. So this picture would be the toolbox layout inside Roblox Studio. And I'll teach you guys how to open it later on. But you can see in here how there's many different objects. There can be trucks, like castles, and whatever this is. It's like a rainbow frog or something. And here you can see the spawn location and different roads. Basically, you can have cars, trees, houses, characters, much more. Everything, anything you want, you can find inside the toolbox, right? It's a place that gives you models made by others for free, and you can take it and put it inside your own game to make it more fun, okay? So here is a page to show you how to open the toolbox inside Roblox Studio. So first, click View. Remember that a lot of things inside Roblox Studio, especially Windows, can be found in View. That's why it's called View. It's because it's where you can find a lot of different things to open. And remember in our last lesson, we talked about the Explorer and properties. And now we're going to talk about another button. It is right next to properties, and it's like a small hammer with a white square background, and that will be the toolbox. So of course, step 1, click View, and step 2, click this button. It should appear when you press View, and you can see the toolbox opening on the left, okay? So now let's try opening it inside Roblox Studio. So this is the starting screen for Roblox Studio. And in previous lessons, we opened the base plate or the classic base plate. But in this lesson, because we're going to be talking about terrain later on, we are going to be using the flat terrain layout. So let's click into that and wait for the place to load a bit. And now you can see a huge field of grass, right? So that's why it's called terrain. It's a more organic type of land. And you can see the small blades of grass that look quite realistic inside here. You can see them moving a bit from the wind, right? And now basically we're going to open the toolbox from this page we just talked about so I can show you what it can actually do, okay? So first, let's click on View, right? So click on View, and then we click on this small button. This small button is the first one on the second row, okay? So let's find it. First one on the second row, right? Remember, you can have like the small hammer, and you can also see here that it displayed toolbox, insert items from the toolbox, where you can find a bunch of different things. So let's click on this, and then now you can see the toolbox window opening on the left, right? So in the toolbox, you can see the same objects that appear here, and these can be put inside your own game, okay? First, let's try the toolbox a bit and have some fun. So why don't we go to vehicle, which is another word for car. You can find all types of car, of course, not just cars, like you can find boats, you can find like trains if you want, planes, helicopters, anything you want, anything that's moving with wheels or with sails or with wings can be found here. And let's try out this first car, okay? It's like a white car. And then to open an item from the toolbox and put it inside your own game, you just want to click on it, or you can drag it and put it inside the game, okay? So let's try dragging it first. We click on this item, and then we drag it slowly into our project. And now you can already see it inside our project, right? Let's drag it a bit closer. Now you can take a good look at the car, and we release, and you will see this notice appearing. It says car includes 2 scripts. Review the scripts to prevent unwanted change. So what it means is that basically a script is lines of code that tells what the card should do with a player, or what it should react to different things, right? It's basically what the developer or the creator wants the card to do. So we put inside the script. So if you want the car to move around and for you to be able to drive the car, then it will be a good idea to have the script inside the car, right? So when it says car includes 2 scripts, we're going to say, okay, we are going to allow the scripts to be inside the car. So let's press OK. And now I just want to talk a bit about models and parts, right? So now you can see this car, and it's a model. A model is a collection of parts. So if you see this mouse right here, you can see that it's not a regular shape like a sphere or a cube, which are like small parts, right? They're like regular shapes. But this mouse has many different shapes, like the roller, or maybe like a round part here and a flat part here, right? So a mouse is a model, just like this car. It's a combination, a collection of many different parts. So if we go in a bit to the car, you can see that there's like different rectangle, like straight lines here, maybe some like curved lines here on the wheels. And then you can see like different squares, like diamonds here. And then you can see like, I don't know, like more square, sharp edges here on the back. You can see the driver's seat, which has a cube, like a rectangular cube here. So it's made with smaller parts, right? So, and when we put these parts together, we get a model. And we can see the model, of course, if you remember from last lesson, we can see all of our models and things inside our game from the Explorer. And if in the Explorer, you can see the model Jeep already here. When you click on it, or when you just click on the car, you can see that the Jeep and the car inside Roblox Studio's workspace, the screen, is selected. You can see the blue outline around the car, which means that the car is selected, right? So if we press the little arrow, which allows us to see all the parts inside the car, then you will see the different smaller parts that make the car, right? So now we have a car, and now you can see the different parts. So first, let's try the car out. Okay, let's see if it will move. And remember, if you want to play the game, you can click the small blue arrow on top, or you can go to home and press on the arrow here. So let's just press on it, and now we're going inside Roblox where we can test our game. So now you can see that I'm a bit far away from the car, right? And I don't really want to walk there. So let's press stop first. And if you remember from last lesson as well, if we want to spawn or appear right next to the car when we go inside the game, we should put a spawn location. And you can put a spawn location by clicking on the plus sign over here and going down to find spawn location, which has the icon of like a small sun. So once we click on that, you can see the spawn location appearing on the terrain, on the land with all the grass. And now it's inside the game. when we go inside the game, we will appear right on top, so we'll be closer to the car, right? So now when we press play, you'll see that my character has appeared right on top of the spawn location. And now we can go to the car very quickly. When we jump on it, now you see that I'm sitting inside the car, right? Very cool. And I can go around a bit. You can see the speed thing down that shows what my speed is. I can kind of run around, turn, go straight. I can even go back. And if I want to jump out, I just have to press jump with a space bar, and now I'm out again. If you want to move around, you can always press WASD to turn left or right, or I can go back with S. Okay, so let's just press stop to stop testing the game and go back to Roblox Studio. So now we can have the car, but what if I want to change parts of the car? I just don't want to directly copy from the toolbox. I want to make some of my own changes. If you want to do that, then you can just click on the car, and then you can go inside the model. You'll see the different parts of a car. And now let's go to like a light. Okay, let's say I want to change the color of the light. So these are smaller parts of the car, and it has the part icon, which is the cube, like the white transparent cube. And of course, a part has different properties, like we talked about last lesson. Now it's in a black color. So now I can change the color to, let's click on brick color, to a bright red. And then I can change the other light to a bright red as well, if I want to, by clicking on brick color and changing the color right here. You can see the color changing with it. And now I have a slightly changed car with different parts here. So now you might be wondering, then why can't I just change the color of the whole model inside properties? Well, that's because properties for a part and a model can be different. And for a part, there are much more properties like these color, material, but when you have a collection of parts, then it's harder to change the whole model as a whole, right? So maybe like a model already has different colors, so you can't really have one property that gives the model one color, right? A model can come with different colors, like the car, there's white, red, and black, right? So, but you can always change it with a trick by clicking on home and going to the color button here. And by selecting the color from on top, you can change the color pretty quickly. But if you want to change individual parts, like the bottom here or the top here, then you're gonna have to change it inside the model by selecting the part. So if you want to undo, you can press Command Z, and now you're back to the original white car. Now that we talked a lot about the car, maybe you can try out some other models from Toolbox. So now we have the vehicle, right? Let's try out some structure. Structure can be houses, like tree houses, can be buildings, roads, different restaurants even. So what should we try out? Let's go around here. You can see club, offices, road. I want to try out a military base. So remember, all you have to do is click and drag, or you can just click. Let's drag it inside by dragging, and you can see it appeared inside the game. Now it says it includes 10 scripts. Let's just say, okay, we're gonna allow it. And now you can see the base right in front of us, right? And if we go inside the game again by pressing play, then you can again interact with the object you just placed, run around. You can touch it, jump on top of it, and by just clicking and dragging, you just put another very cool object, this military base with different barrels inside your game. And it's very quick. You can even climb up this. Very quick to make your game more fun by using the toolbox, right? And it's completely free. You don't have to worry about buying anything. So now we have the car and we have the building. We can do some characters and we can do some weapons. So right down here, I already saw a weapon. It's a sword, right? So if you're a character, then obviously you can hold different tools as well, including swords and maybe some hammers, right? So let's add the sword inside the game. And right now it's a bit small. How can we make it bigger? If you remember from last lesson, you can change the size of an object by using these operations, right? So now you have the move button where you can change it around. You have the scale, which makes it bigger and smaller. Remember, if this is your object, move makes it go around, like go to another location inside your game. Scale makes it bigger or smaller, and rotate changes where it's facing, right? So right now I just want to make it bigger. So let's drag the blue dot to make the sword much bigger. And that might be a bit too big, so let's try making it a bit smaller, just a little bit. And now it's pretty good. But why do we need a sword if we don't have enemies to kill, right? So let's try to find a zombie. And if you watch zombie movies, you know that they're also a character, but they're kind of the enemy. And this is what we also call the NPC. It's not really a player, but it's also a character. It's a non-player character. So let's try to drag a zombie inside. Again, the zombie contains many scripts. Let's just press OK. And let's see if we can kill the zombie with the sword we just placed. Okay. Again, we press play. Very cool. And now you can see the zombie moving around. We grab the sword, we swing. You can see this is what we call animation. Right now it's kind of choppy. It's like going like this, right? But we can change it by using our own animations, which I will talk about in future lessons. So now you can swing it and the zombies move around and then we swing at the zombie. Now you can see the zombie is successfully defeated. It has a health bar. It's basically HP. It shows if how much health the zombie still has. And right now the zombie is defeated because we just slayed it with our sword. So let's press stop. And one zombie isn't really fun enough, so let's try duplicating more zombies. If you remember from last lesson, by clicking the duplicate button on the left top hand corner, we can duplicate another zombie here. And now you can see that it's still one zombie, but that's because the two zombies are overlapping. They're at the same location, so it's hard to see the two zombies. And if you want to see both, you just have to move one out of the way by dragging the move arrow, and now you can see two zombies. And let's try making more zombies, okay? Two, and then duplicate to make more. And now we have 4, right? And now you can play with much more zombies. So that's Toolbox for you. We can make vehicles. We can have different buildings. We can have tools like a sword. And we have different characters like zombies, right? So that's Toolbox for you. And now we're going to kind of go into like map making. And if you want to build a very interesting game, you don't want everything to be flat, right? You want there to be different hills, like different lakes, maybe even deserts, different environments for the player to be in, so they feel more fun inside the game because it's more different than our real world, right? You can see in this picture, this humanoid is a Roblox character, and he is in a very beautiful area with a lot of mountains, a lot of trees, and you can see rocks here, lakes here, and snow on top of the mountain. Basically, when we say map making, we mean that you're trying to create a place for the players to run around in, right? And that can be like different hills, You can make it big, right? A very large area with the big forest, lakes, mountains, whatever you want. And to accomplish this, to do this, we're going to need something called terrain. Terrain in Roblox Studio is a tool. It's also the name for land inside Roblox Studio. And using the terrain editor, we can change the shape of the land to make it go up, down, right, or left. I mean, you can go like, make it go really tall, right? And you can change the shape of the land with the terrain editor. And that means you can also change the material. So it can be like grass or rock or water or snow or sand or whatever you like. And change it however you want. And these are two pictures of terrains inside Roblox Studio. You can see that they look pretty cool. And on the bottom, you can see different trees as well. You can also take the trees from the toolbox if you want to. So this is how you can open the terrain editor, okay? First, like always, you click view, just like what we did for the toolbox. After you click view, you can see the terrain editor here, and it's like a mountain logo with a small pen, right? So let's try to see inside Roblox Studio. Let's go to view first, and then you can see the editor here. Or you can also open it if you think the button is too small inside home, where you can see the editor here. It's also a mountain with a pen. When you click on it, it will open terrain editor for you, right? It should be open on the left. So let's talk a bit more about the terrain editor. Right now, everything is flat. It's very boring. It's only a huge grass field. And how can we make it more interesting? All we have to do is go to edit. I'll talk about these other ones later, but in edit, we can truly change the shape of the land to whatever you want, right? So let's start one by one. First, let's seed add. Like the name, add creates more land on top of the current land, right? So when we press add, you can see many settings inside here. You can see like a sphere, like a round shape. You can also see the like layout appearing inside of my Roblox Studio screen. When I move around the mouse, you can see it go to different places. I can have like a square shape, like a cylinder shape if I want. And to change the size, all I have to do is to scroll this up to make it bigger, or I can scroll it down to make it smaller. And let's say I want to make it big, I can go like here. And if you want to see how big it is, compare it with the models we just placed, right? It's much bigger. So small, can make it like really small. If you want to make it smaller than the car, right? It's like very small now, okay? Pivot position and plane lock are more advanced settings, and it basically determines like more specific operations with where you want to place the land. And if it's spot, then it will be on top of the current land. If it's center, then it's going to be in the middle. And if it's top, it's in the bottom. So it's more advanced settings. But the real thing here is the materials. So the materials make the game so much more interesting, because then you can create different environments, different types of land, right? Not just grassland, but lakes, mountains as well. So right now we just have grass. It's really boring. So why don't we use sand? When you click on sand, and let's select bot, which makes the shape go up, and let's make the size much bigger than it currently is, okay? Change it to like 28. And now when we click it, you see a huge block of sand appearing, right? And maybe that's a bit too big. So we're going to reduce the size, and let's make a square. And let's create like a blocks here so you guys can see it better, okay? We create like 3 different shapes of sand. And now it gets really interesting because you can create anything you want with these shapes. Maybe you can have like a huge sand hill, or you can build like a temple with these shapes, like a sand temple in Egypt, or anything you can imagine. Now it looks very cool. So that's add, you create different shapes. You can do like a circle one as well, make it more round. And now it's a bit, the shape is a bit weird and it's not very realistic. So how do I change it to something smaller and more detailed? First you can use a subtract, like name, it removes land, right? Add creates land, and subtract removes land. So you can see the corner, when I click on it, then it kind of reduces the land. And it's the same for add. If you just click, then the land will be removed like this. You can see I made a dent inside here. It's kind of like a scoop of ice cream. And you can reduce the land slowly and slowly, right? But it's still a very quick process because it instantly like removes that land, right? With dents in it, it's good for making like rocks and stuff. So that's subtract, it removes land. And now grow is like add, but then more slowly, right? So it kind of grows stuff. And if we want to like grow something from the grass, we can select grass here. And then when we hold it, so for grow, you don't want to click on it. If you click, nothing really happens, right? You want to hold it. So when we hold the button, then something appears from the ground and you can see this long line of dirt that just shot straight out the ground, right? And we can create a bit of variety here to make it look like a huge lump of dirt that actually looks pretty cool. And yeah, so that's grow, and then we can also grow different materials on other things. So now you can see that we grew some grass on the sand. So maybe some grass will grow here, right? It's not just only sand. And now you mix stuff up, it looks much better, right? Not just only sand, that's gonna be too boring. So now we grew much more stuff and now it looks so much better. So grow is when you grow stuff out, and the road is the same thing, of course, but the opposite. It removes land slowly, right? It's the similar to subtract, but then it's a much slower process. Like for example, if I want to erode this part, I just have to click and it slowly reduces the land bit by bit, right? Okay, now what if I want to like, what if it's still going too fast? I want to slow it down even more. Then I can adjust the strength here by changing it down. And now it's going even slower, right? Now you can really make the details appear by changing it here, right? So that's a road. And smooth, like the name, it makes everything smooth. But if you just, so for smooth, you want to kind of hold but move around. So if I just hold and I move around like this, then everything is smoother and it will be more obvious if I go here, right? And now it's like smoother here. Flatten makes everything on the same surface. You can see the plane, like the different grids that shows how it will flatten the land. So I want to flatten the land here, and now it's really flat, right? So that's flatten. Paint is very interesting. It doesn't change the shape of the land, but it will change like the material, right? So let's say we kind of want to create some ice on top of the sand. We can just click on the ice and then drag it around on top to make it really cool because it might be cold, right? On top. So let's create this block of ice on top and maybe some ice here, right? And then maybe some rock here. Just kind of hold it and drag it around. And now this place is all rocks. You can see this kind of a rock cliff, right? So that's cool. And that's paint. And sea level is more about creating sea. It's pretty simple, but I'm not going to demonstrate here. It's kind of hard to know what level your sea is going to be. So if you want to learn about that, you can be as well. You can do it as well, but it's more advanced. And the replace, don't have to worry about it yet. It's like replacing a material with another material. So that's pretty cool as well if you want to try it. And that's basically all of terrain for you. And you're welcome to try it out right now. You can create different shapes, any shape you want, any mountains you want. So why don't we test it out first? Let's test out our terrain inside the game, okay? By clicking inside the game, you can see the different zombies. Let's go kill one zombie. Jump around. Let's jump on the mountain we just made. Clicking here. Now we're on top. Now we can jump down, jump here. And you can see this rock surface here. Pretty cool. Let's try to add some water, maybe like a lake inside, right? So remember, if you want to add water, just go here. And let's try paint. And let's paint. Oh, that's not water. It's here. And now you can paint a whole lake really quickly by just holding the button and dragging it around. And you can create a huge lake over here, right? Make it go a bit further out, it's more like a river, but still looks kind of cool, right? Like a lake. Very quick, just hold and drag. Let's test out in the game. So our lake is going to be over here. Let's grab our sword. Hold it around. That's the mountain we just made. And so see the rocks here. Remember, everything you make inside Roblox Studio will appear automatically inside your game. And jump down and look at all the water. And this animation is made by Roblox. I just remove the sword by clicking 1. And we're swimming on top. You can see the bottom. It still looks not too good, but we can change the bottom with terrain editor as well. So we just jump on shore and look at what we've made. And with just Toolbox and terrain editor, you can make a whole map if you want to, and it's going to look really cool. And that's all for terrain editor from me. Let's talk a bit more about open world games. An open world game is a big map where players can play with each other, and there is no specific level. And if you want to quit the game, you just really leave the world. There's no like rounds like Brawl Stars or Clash Royale, but in like open world games are more like Genshin Impact and Minecraft multiplayer, where there's like one huge world and you can run around and do whatever you like. And that's an open world game. It's where basically a map where players can have fun with each other, play with each other, and anything you want to do. And terrain editor is going to be really good for open world games because you can use it to build a very cool map where players would want to stay for a long time. And the players will be more willing to play a game if your map is more interesting. And you can achieve that with the terrain editor and the toolbox. Prepare a pencil and a paper. I don't think we have too much time for this, but if you want to, you should always create a map design before you build a game, right? Before you actually build the game map, because it's better to plan your things so you know exactly what you're going to have in your game and how to make your game more interesting. So first, I would say to draw a rough shape of your map. And secondly, you can think of names of different places in your map so you remember them. And it also helps the player remember that place. And finally, you can add some details by putting in houses, do different mountains forests or lakes if you want to. Yeah. And finally, for homework, first, you guys can make a very simple map with only two things, the terrain editor and the toolbox, right? Before you make the map, you should consider creating a map design. You can find like map templates online. It can be like a treasure map, or it can be like just a simple drawing. You can use it to kind of like visualize what you want to do, make in your Roblox game better. So that's gonna help with your development. After you create the map with terrain and toolbox, then you can take a screenshot and upload it. Second is a challenge for all of you. If you can, I want you to create a lake and a forest. So if you don't know how to make a tree, remember that a toolbox has everything for you, right? So if you just want to go to view, open up toolbox, and just search tree, you can see a lot of different trees inside here. Some maybe like low poly kind with like more simple shapes, or you can find like more complicated shapes like this one, right? It looks a lot better than that one, and it looks much more real as well. So it depends on which style you want to make for your own game. And whatever style it is, it's gonna look cool. Whether it's this one or this one, just remember to make your style the same for everything you build. So if you want to make it very realistic, then you should have more realistic houses and characters as well. And that's going to be it for this lesson. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you guys next class. And if you can make a map, then just upload it so other classmates can see it as well, okay? All right, see you guys next lesson.